Okay, sit yourself onto your lift. Just give yourself a level basis for seating. And then have a little wriggle about. Make sure that you're feeling evenly placed on your seat bones, and then elevate the heart rate, elevate the heart area up towards the ceiling, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Look down at the floor, look at something that's not moving. Soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. Just listen to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Consciously soften your jaw and your tongue and your throat. Settle your eyes on the floor ahead of you, just so that you can quieten the brain by keeping the eyes still in your eye sockets. Just come into Namaste. Press the palms firmly together, lengthen from your armpits into your elbows. And then allow your eyes to gently close. Focus on long, slow, deep, deliberate inhalations and exhalations. Just fill in the lungs from the bottom to the top. And emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Lift your chest up to meet your chin, drawing your shoulders down away from your ears. Hold on to that feeling of abundance in the heart area as you release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards, index finger in contact with your thumb. Just spend a few moments listening to the breath. Just sitting in peacefulness. Observing how the body is feeling from the face down to the feet. And then raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and focus to softly come back. Hold onto your knees. And then elevate your heart area upwards, elevating it up to the ceiling. And then turn to the right side, just drawing the abdomen across and the ribs and the shoulders, keeping the neck really soft, just looking forwards. Observe how your body responds to the turn of the pose. And then come back to the centre, hold onto your knees. Take a deep inhalation and then turn to the left, drawing your abdomen across your ribs, your shoulders. And then come back to the centre. Just come off your lift and then just come down onto your seat bones. So big toes together, your knees apart, have some space behind you. And then I want you to just sit really firmly down on the heels. Lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards. And then just walk your hands behind you. Bring the palms of the hands down directly underneath your shoulders. And then fingers pointing forwards, and then lift up into the heart area, keeping the seat bones down to start off with. So lifting up into the heart area, and then if there's no problem with your neck, stretch into the chin. Lengthen the chin away. And then just drop the chest a little and then come back to the center, just sitting back on your heels. Just observe how that position just really lifts and opens the energy of the chest. Just one more time, come back. So if that, you can always just do Adho Mukha, go straight into Adho Mukha virasana if this doesn't feel good for you. Push your hands into the floor, lift from the wrists up into the elbows, into the armpits, lift and open the chest, and then extend into the chin. Maintaining the connection with the seat bones on the heels. And then lift the chest, come back to the center. Again, just observe how the body feels after going back, and then come forwards. Come forwards into Adho Mukha virasana. Again, aiming to maintain the connection between the seat bones and the heels. Don't be in a rush to bring your head down. In fact, get yourself a block for your head and press the forehead down into the block. So have it on its long end so that you've got space to keep the chest lifted but extending deeply into your arms. If the block on its long end feels too high, then just put it onto a lower side. But consciously press that area between the eyebrows into the block. So that action of applying pressure onto the forehead between the eyebrows just helps you to quieten the brain. So you can press the flat of the forehead onto the blocks for a similar, maybe more intense quietening action. Sitting back on the heels, extending deeply into the arms, lengthening from the hips into the armpits, into the elbows, into the wrists, into the palms, into the fingertips. And then come up onto your knees, have your hands as wide apart as the mat, have your feet as wide apart as the mat, and then come up into dog down. Just let your head hang down, lift the seat bones up to the ceiling. If you can support your head on the block, then do. Bring it higher or lower, or use a bolster if you can't. Just allow there to be some support for the forehead. Again, just quietening the brain. Just focusing on activation of the legs specifically, really working the kneecaps, lifting the thigh muscles, pushing the fronts of the thighs through to the backs of the thighs, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards. And then step your feet forwards. Just come up into a standing position. Get 2 blocks for your hands for uttanasana, for half uttanasana. And then have your feet as wide apart as the mat with the toes turning in slightly. Just lift up into the chest. Have your hands on your hips to start off with. Lift up into the chest and then raise your arms. Have your arms wider than your shoulders. Lifting up into the chest. So a good position for positive thinking. Presenting the heart area to the skies. Keeping the heart area open, bring your hands onto your hips and then hinge at the hips. Lifting the seat bones upwards, extending the chin and the chest away, and then just come up onto the fingertips. Lift the seat bones towards the sky, hit the heels down into the floor. So press the shins back so that you can access the heels, and then stamp the center of the heel into the floor. Just observe the feeling of interior balance, just that sense that the body is working evenly on the left and the right side. There's even action in the legs and the arms and the spine. There's continuous attention to the breath. Just bring your left block into the center underneath your chest. Bring your right hand onto the small of the back. Just extend the chest forwards. Have your hands on the small of the back so you can feel that your hips remain level. And then extend the spine and turn the chest to the right side, drawing that top shoulder towards the left side of the room. With your hand on your lower back, You should feel that the hips remain level. Keep legs working evenly. And then come back to the centre. Remaining on fingertips, extending into the chest. And bring your right block underneath the centre of the chest. Bring your left hand into the small of the back. Lift up into the chest. Extend the spine. And then turn to the left. Keep the interior balance of the pose. Balance of the legs. Legs and the spine, legs and the arms. And then come back to the centre. Projecting the chin and the chest forwards, resetting your interior balance. And then bring your hands onto your hips. And then come up into a standing position. And then come into Tadasana. Just lifting up into the chest. Just move your blocks out of the way. Just lift up into the chest, elevating the heart area upwards. Lift the heart area up, draw the shoulders down away from your ears, lengthening into the fingertips. Bring your arms out nice and wide in toward your chest, and then step or jump your feet apart. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out, and then bring the chest to face the front. Lift up into the heart area, and then come down into trikonasana. Just spend a little time once you were in the pose to just feel the pose, feel the three-dimensional position of the body. The position of the feet, of the shins, of the thighs, the action of the thighs. The position of the front leg buttock bone, the back leg buttock bone. Where are the hips? Where is the abdomen? Where is the spine? Just have a quick look down, just make sure that your head is directly over your foot. If it's not, lift the chest a little more, squeeze the front leg buttock bone forwards a little more, and then look back up. Reach up into that top hand rather than collapse down into that bottom arm. Come back to the centre. Turn your right toes in, your left leg and foot all the way out. Turning the legs, and then just come over to the left. Breathe even deep inhalations and exhalations. And then come back to the centre, bring the feet parallel, and then step, jump the feet back together. Come back into Tadasana, lifting up into the chest. Just focus on the breath, fill in the lungs from the bottom to the top, emptying your lungs from the top to the bottom. Bring your arms out nice and wide in toward your chest, and then step or jump a little wider for parsvakonasana. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out. So this back leg is going to stay straight, this front leg is going to bend into a right angle. So lift up into the chest, bring the chest to face the front. Activate that back leg, really really hit the thigh muscle firmly into the bone. Tighten the kneecap. And then bend and descend. Find a right angle. And then reach down. If you can't reach, use a block like this underneath the hand or reach the floor. And then turn the abdomen and the chest up to face the ceiling. Keeping that back leg straight, and then reach up and over. I ran out of ceiling height a little bit here. Look underneath the armpit. Turning the chest to face the ceiling. Opening the chest to the sky. Push the knee into the arm and turn. Come back to the center. Swap the feet around, turn the right toes in, the left leg and foot all the way out, lift up into the chest, keep that back leg straight, and then reach up, turn in the chest and over. Push the knee into the arm, rotate the chest, keeping that right leg straight. Okay, come back to the center, and then just rest the hands on the hips for a moment. So we're going to go back into parsvakonasana, so don't stay too long, because we're going to go back in and then come back to the center. So one of the things about parsvakonasana is that the word parsva means turn. So it's like a turning angular pose. But that turn is actually quite difficult, isn't it? It's quite difficult to access the turn, because there's a number of things that kind of feel like they get in the way. So we're going to do the cheats version a little bit. So I want you to just stand, so have a block where you can reach it on the right side, but make sure you don't jump on it. So lift up into the chest, raise the chest upwards, bring your arms out nice and wide, and then step, go nice and wide again, nice and wide with your legs. And then turn the left toes in, the right leg and foot all the way out. And then again, just firm up this back leg. If the back leg bends, then you lose access into the spine. If you straighten that back leg, then from the heel all the way up into the hip, all the way up into the spine, you can extend. Bend that front leg. And then this time, get your block, but put it on the inside of the foot, the big toe side of the foot. So it's the wrong side, but it will kind of help to kind of get this turn. So have the block, push the knee into the arm, and then from there, just see if you can really rotate the chest. It really opens up the chest, opens up the possibility of the chest. Push the knee into the arm into the knee, and then really rotate the chest. And then extend your arm up and over. Breathe in, even deep inhalations and exhalations. And then just bring that top hand down back onto the hip, and then just bring the hand onto the little toe side of the foot. Again, using the block, it just gives you additional space. And then reach up and over again. Just see if you can maintain that turn of the chest. Okay, and then just gently come back to the center. I don't know why I brought that with me. And then step or jump your feet back together. Just come into Tadasana. Just get your breath back. So that pose does raise your heart rate a little. Which is quite nice first thing in the morning, isn't it? Okay, so you've got your block where you can reach it on the left side. Bring your arms out nice and wide in towards the chest, and then step or jump your feet apart. Turn your right toes in, your left leg and foot all the way out. So at this time, just kind of corkscrew this leg from the big toe side to the little toe side. Get hold of it and turn it. Do the same with the back leg so that the little toe side of the foot stays down on the floor. Because when you bend this knee, that little toe side of the foot will want to lift. So bend that leg. Get your block, bring your hand onto the big toe side of the foot, push the elbow into the knee, and then feel the openness of the turn. And reach up and over. Pushing the knee into the arm, rotating the chest. Just bring the top hand down, swap the hand around to the little toe side of the foot, but stay with the block. And then just reach up and over, keeping that turn of the chest. If you lose it, bring the hand back to the big toe side. And then come back to the centre and then lift. So then step or jump your feet back together. Just coming back into Tadasana. So parsvakonasana is quite a tricky pose in many ways. It requires a fair amount of energy, so really gets the blood pumping. Bring your feet hip width apart, turn your toes in, raise your arms up. If you're doing half uttanasana because you're protecting your back, just bring your arms down onto the back of a chair or onto a tabletop or onto a windowsill. Just stay there, otherwise all the way down and just hang down into uttanasana. Lifting the legs in the way that you would be doing in dog down, in Tadasana. Turning the thighs inwards. Listening to the breath. Just observing your interior balance. And then gently just release your hands down to the floor. Bring your hands into your hips and then come up into a standing position. Just bending your knees on the way up if you need to. And then come down onto your back into supta, baddha. If you're feeling up to it, you can do a headstand at this stage, or just come down into supta baddha. So push in supta baddha, push your feet together firmly. Push your heels together. Turn the tailbone in. Broaden the abdomen so that the abdominal walls come down onto the floor. Just observe your breath. If there's stiffness in your hips and it prevents you from staying in the pose, then put some blocks underneath the thighs, the outside of the thighs, like this. So you just have the blocks there, just have the same on both sides. So even if it's just one hip that's aggravating you, should support both sides, otherwise you'll feel lopsided. Stretch your arms to the ceiling, interlock your fingers, turn the palms all the way up, and then lengthen your arms along the floor. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, have a folded blanket or some blocks underneath your hands just to support your shoulders. Otherwise, just use the floor. Broadening the abdomen so the abdominal walls are pressing into the floor. So it removes some of the curvature of the lumbar. Draw the belly button towards the spine consciously. Just breathe even, deep inhalations and exhalations. Raise your arms, just swap the interlock of your fingers, turn your palms all the way out, and again extend your arms along the floor. And then just gently release your hands, rest your hands on your lower ribs. Just observe how you have lifted your energy on the inside. Just be soft in your jaw and your tongue and your throat. And then draw your knees toward each other, have your knees together, your feet apart. Just resting into the floor. And then draw your knees in towards your chest. Just have a little rock, excuse me, from side to side, from top to bottom. And then just rock yourself up into a seated position and then come down onto your front. Just lay directly on your front. So we can do bhujangasana. So bhujangasana is sometimes known as the cobra. So the important thing with this is when people do the cobra, often everyone wants to immediately straighten your arms, and that often for many people that will kind of make the pose go wrong. It will make you overdo it. And so the cobra, it relies deeply on the legs. The bhujangasana relies deeply on the legs. So pick up one leg, turn it like you're doing tadasana, and then extend into the toenails. Do the same with the other leg. Just do it a couple of times so you're effectively kind of lengthening out the front of the hips, the front of the groin region. So you're lengthening it out. And then have the big toes together, have the heels apart, and then stamp the toes really firmly into the floor. So you're pointing the toes, so it's the tops of the feet are pressing into the floor. Tighten your kneecaps. So you're just on your elbows at this stage. So you're just on your elbows, really trying to activate your legs. Push your feet into the floor, and then turn the tailbone inwards so that you lengthen the sacrum area. And then soften, and then relax. So the legs are really, really important. And if you have problems with your lumbar, this pose can feel like it aggravates it a little. But it's the most important thing is that last action that we did. It's sending the sacrum downwards towards the tailbone and drawing the tailbone in. If you can do that, then there will be less resistance in your lumbar area. So just again, stay on your elbows and just reactivate those legs. Lengthen the leg, pick up the legs, turn them like you're doing tadasana. So the front of the thighs turn inwards, the backs of the thighs turn outwards, and then press the tops of the feet onto the floor. Tighten your kneecaps, and then lengthen that tailbone width, that sacrum down to the tailbone in, and then lift the chest, just beyond the elbows, lifting the chest, keeping those legs really firmly activated. And then you're going to bring your hands underneath your shoulders and keep the pelvis down as you lift the chest. So you might not necessarily straighten the legs. Sorry, you might not necessarily straighten the arms. Keep the elbows into the sides of the body, keep the shoulders away from the ears. Just lift up into the chest, activating the legs. If you can, you drive the chin to the ceiling. Lengthening the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin, and then gently release. Just rest your head on one side, rest your arms along the floor, and then release. One of the things about back bending poses is that they require some energy to do them, don't they? But you can relax really deeply afterwards. So the relaxation is worth the effort. Also, ironically, the back bending poses are pretty physically challenging, but they also give you lots and lots of energy. Okay, just come back onto your elbows. Just reset your legs. So really work into the toenails. Turning the legs like you're doing Tadasana. So the fronts of the thighs are turning inwards. The backs of the thighs are broadening outwards. Tuck the tailbone in. Lift the chest just on in the crocodile. Just lift the chest. And then bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And then push yourself up, keeping the pelvis down. Remember, you're not necessarily straightening the arms. Keep the pelvis down. Lift from the abdomen to the diaphragm, to the collarbone, to the chin. Soften the jaw and in the tongue and in the throat. Keeping the feet pressing into the floor, keeping the kneecaps tightened. And then gently come down. Just rest your head onto the right side, onto the other side rather. Rest your arms into the floor and just enjoy that momentary feeling of release. Okay, push your hands into the floor and then come up onto your knees. Just sit back on your heels and stretch forwards into Adho Mukha Virasana. Hitting the seat bones down towards the heels. Lengthening away from the hips, into the armpits, into the arms, into the palms, into the fingers. And then release your hands underneath your shoulders and then just push yourself up into a seated position. Just lift up into the chest, draw your chin down to meet the chest, just lengthening out the back of the neck. And then lift the chin to the ceiling. And then back to the centre, and then the right ear down to the right shoulder. And then back, and then left ear down to the left shoulder. back. And then just one more time, chin to chest. And then lift the head. Just sitting cross legs for a moment. We're going to do parsva swastikasana or parsvakonasana. Hold onto your knees, lift up into your chest, elevating your heart area upwards. And then turn to the right side. Digging the back hand firmly into the floor. Drawing your abdomen across. Just feeling that your seat bones can feel level. Turn the abdomen and the ribs and the shoulders. And then come back to the center, hold onto your knees, lift up into the chest, and then turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center and then lay yourself down along the floor. Just get hold of the sides of the mat, pull your knees in towards your chest, and then lengthen the legs up to the ceiling. Lengthen out the back of the neck so that your forehead and chin are in the same line. If your head feels like it rolls back, put a blanket underneath your head. So pull in the sides of the mat really firmly, keeping your arms straight, lifting the chest. Turning the legs like you're doing tadasana, turning the fronts of the thighs inwards so that the backs of the thighs broaden outwards. Okay, and then just bend your knees. Pull your knees in towards your chest, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom. And then get yourself a folded blanket, just rock yourself up, folded blanket for underneath your head. And then just move any equipment out of the way that might make you feel a little constricted. Just observe that you're in a really good straight line right down the centre of the mat. And then just allow your legs to relax. Allow your arms to relax. Close your eyes if you haven't done already. Just focusing on inhalations and exhalations. Listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Just allow the muscles to completely relax, unhooking the muscles of the arms and the legs. And just observe that feeling of lightness that radiates out from the bones and into the muscles. From the bones and into the organs, bringing positive healing energy into the organs. And when you are ready to disturb yourself, just wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. But before you move, just consciously draw your breath up into the brain. Filling the frontal lobes of the brain with lightness. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, and then bring your knees in towards your chest. Let's have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then roll over onto your right side. Just stay down for a breath or two. And then when you're ready, stretch out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in Namaste, just a final spinal lift. Draw the breath in through the nose and down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice, that good, positive, healthy flow of clean energy that the extensions and the forward bends and the twists and the inversions bring to the body and to the mind. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you have created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And then gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And then as you raise your head, allow your eyes eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel as though you've just lifted your energy, giving yourself some good positive energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.